Thank you, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing this morning?
Good.
Good. It's really interesting listening to that break the rope. Because I broke the rope. I know you wonder what it was. When I retired 3 years ago and moved from Pontiac, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So what I did, I worked jigsaw puzzles. You know what jigsaw puzzles are? Huh? They're 300 little pieces, all in different shapes, and you had to put the puzzles together. Some of them are 500 pieces. And I knew that I was going to be just sitting around in my little rocking chair doing nothing. So in order for me to strengthen my brain and my mind, I had to do something. Otherwise, I was just going to be mush. So I worked jigsaw puzzles. And after I completed the jigsaw puzzles, I glued them together and I put them on my garage wall. So when I go in the garage, I can just sit back and just look and say, look what I did. Because there is one muscle in our body that we do not use often. And that muscle will grow if we use it. But fortunately, that muscle, you can't see the growth. You know, when you do push-ups, just like my friend here, you can see that he does push-ups. Those muscles just bulging out. But there's one muscle that you exercise daily, you will never see it grow in size from the outside. And you talked about it in that breaking the rope. And that one muscle, young men and young women, is your brain. That's the muscle that you must use every day and to make it grow. And when you make it grow, then you will be elite students greater than you are today. I'm going to tell you a very short story about yours truly. As it was said that I was the shortest hurdler in the country. I was 5'10", not 5'11". That was wrong.
That's wrong.
And my left leg was 3/4 of an inch shorter than my right leg. Because my mother, when she was giving birth to me, the midwife, you know what midwife is? You don't go to the doctor, the hospital. A person comes to you. They are not trained professionally. It's just people who learn how to deliver babies. But I was turned upside down. My head was not coming out first. My feet was coming out. And the midwife was concerned that my mother was going to die, trying to pull me out. So they were going to abort me. But my mother says, no, I carried him for 9 months, and I am not going to have him not live. So they worked on me, and they pulled this one leg, and the other leg is shorter than my lead leg. So that's the story. So, grew up in Pontiac, and I wanted to participate in sports. But I was short. I was little. And in grade school, I played football and ran track, and I was pretty good. When I got to junior high school, all of my peers, they got taller. Just like my friend here. I was still a little runt. I didn't make the football team. didn't make the basketball team. I became the first cheerleader in the city of Pontiac. I was out there cheering. And all the guys and girls were teasing me. But I didn't care because I wanted to be involved. So I went out for track, and the only thing that I could do was jump over the hurdles. But I knocked down all the hurdles, but I didn't care because I was out doing something. Went to high school. I didn't make the track team my first year. I'm still a little runt. So at the end of my first year in high school, I asked the coach if I could take a hurdle home for the summer. And he said, no, I'll leave 2 or 3 hurdles open at Wisner Stadium. You know where Wisner Stadium is. Mm-hmm. That was our track. And I lived 2 miles from the track. So every day, boys and girls, I walked over to Wisner Stadium and I put up the hurdles. And I was determined that I was going to master the hurdles. But I knocked over all those hurdles every day. But I was determined. I kept going. The second year in high school, I became the #1 hurdler. I went on to the state track meet, became the #1 hurdler. It was the determination. People say that you're not going to make it, Hayes, because you're too short. University of Michigan wanted to recruit me to run track for them. Now, you go to University of Michigan on a scholarship, your parents don't have to pay anything. Now, I'm going to just go back to my senior year. When I became the #1 hurdler in my 11th grade and the #1 hurdler in my senior year, everybody looked up to me in the school. All the pretty girls wanted to see Hayes because I would come to school with my medal that I won on the weekend. And the girls wanted to wear Hayes Jones's medal. So I was the big guy. We got a new principal my last year in high school, and his name was Francis Staley. You go over to Pontiac Central High School, where it's standing now, you probably will see the name Francis Staley on the outside of the building. Well, Francis Staley wanted to meet Hayes Jones. And so he called me to his office. And I just figured he just wanted to meet the man. Because I was all of that and a bunch of Cracker Jacks. I go into his office and there was a piece of paper sitting on his desk. And I knew it had to be the bio of Hayes Jones. And he said, so you're Hayes Jones? I said, yes, sir. Very proud. And he said, Mr. Jones, I just want to let you know that I'm disappointed in the grades that I see that you have produced thus far. And I want you to know that no student in this school, as long as I'm principal, will not be able to participate in extracurricular activities if their grades are not up to their expectation. And I said, how dare he? How dare he? I finally found something that I could master. And he's going to take it away from me the blink of an eye. But he was the man in charge. So he made me really rethink what was very important. So, boys and girls, let me tell you, my senior year, being the best in the hurdles, I began to open those books and look at those books in a different way. Because he was not going to take something from me that meant so much to me. Oh, how I wish they had done that earlier in my high school year. University of Michigan noticed me, and they wanted me to come to their university with an athletic scholarship. But my mother and father says, no, you're not going to go to University of Michigan. You're not going to school to run track. You're going to school to get an education. So they said that you're going to go to this little school 7 miles from U of M, so I can see the University of Michigan. I see the football stadium, but I'm at this little school called Eastern Michigan University. And my mother and father says that you're going to help us pay for your education. So for 4 years, I mopped floors and washed dishes on campus to help my parents pay for my college education. My mother worked for Kresge's, which is now Kmart, and she was the matron. And if you don't know what that means, she cleaned the ladies' bathrooms downtown Pontiac because they were not hiring people of color to sell in that store. And my father worked not far from here in the foundry for General Motors. So they weren't making a lot of money. But they were determined that Hayes Jones, their son, was going to get an education. Boys and girls, 4 years later, I got a degree. But during that time, I had a coach who began to teach me how to really master the hurdles. I lived in Europe every summer while I was in college, representing the United States State Department. I've been to Russia 4 times, been to Poland, Greece, Hungary, you name it. I really grew mentally by being exposed to the world. And in 1960, I had defeated all of the hurdlers around the world. And the sports reporters said Hayes Jones is going to win the gold medal in the 1960 Rome Olympic Games. I believed them. And I went to the Olympic Games and I came home placing 3rd. I got a bronze medal, not the gold medal that the sports reporter said that I was going to win. I was very disappointed. I'm now married, have a little boy. I'm working. I'm teaching school at Denby High School in Detroit, Michigan. And I'm also the track coach. But I'm still training for the 1964 Olympic Games because I said I was not satisfied with placing 3rd.
Come on, yeah.
The president of the International Olympic Committee lived in Chicago, a very wealthy industrialist. And he read in the newspaper that Hayes Jones was coaching and training for the '64 Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan. He called the AAU, and he told the AAU guy to call Hayes Jones to confirm if he was coaching. Because back then, you're an amateur. In the Olympic Games, no athlete could earn money on their skill. Now, you get $30,000 if you win a gold medal. Whoa. Yes. $20,000 if you get a silver medal. $15,000 if you get a bronze medal. So I got a call and said, if you accept that $1,500 for coaching student athletes, you will be a professional. And you will not be able to represent the United States in the Olympic Games. So I left education just to retain my amateur status. In 1964, I was the best hurdler in the world, still.
Yes.
The sports reporter said, Hayes Jones is going to win the gold medal.